Hi guys, so Selena here with another session of Into All Truth. So I wanted to talk to you guys about a specific scripture in Judges chapter 19 about the rape, murder, and dismemberment of an Israelite sister. And the reason for that is because I feel it's something that needs to be addressed within our community, how we look at women and how we look at this kind of subject matter. And I think Yah provides an excellent example of how he feels about this kind of behavior in this chapter. But the most important reason why I'm raising it is because of what I'm hearing in the United States about what happened to Nia Wilson, as well as these threats being made, and I'm going to read off my phone here, against LaDawn Jones by this Jason Spencer, Republican. LaDawn Jones is a Democrat, an attorney. She is a law keeper. So I'm just going to go through the scriptures and read you Judges 19, just so that all men can understand how Yah feels about this, but most importantly, and what Yah does to his own children when his own children don't respect the daughters of Israel or mistreat them in this way. But you must remember that Wisdom of Solomon says, he punishes us little by little, but our enemies he punishes 1,000 times more. And I was talking to a girlfriend of mine who's Ethiopian. She's Falash as well, and she was saying, I love Donald Trump because he's bringing our people to a place where we will no longer desire this place and will want to leave. And I think she's entirely right. That is exactly what Yah is doing in these situations. And of course, we must wait on Yah, because those who wait on the Lord will mount up with wings like eagles, will run and not grow tired, walk and not grow weary. And this is part of the deliverance of Israel. And I believe 400 years of slavery in the United States ended in April, in the month of Aviv. You can watch my videos on it. I detail it well according to the Enochian calendar. What is required of the Hebrew Israelites is to cry out to Yah and say, our enemies are too strong for us, and to fast and pray and beg for him to defend us. And let me tell you something, man. I mean, the other day I was really late to go to work, and because of a transport driver, myself and another person, and I had arrived half an hour early, and I was really concerned because I had been ill in the past and really messed up at work and arrived really, really late. And it turned out I was working with somebody who witnessed all of this. So I was very stressed and concerned, and I'd made every effort to be half an hour early, and this man did not care. So I was really late for work, and this man did not seem to care. And I just said, well, yeah, will you please just check him? Because I was really anxious about it, because I was potentially starting a new job on the perfect show that was right next door to my house, and I had already made one mistake on it. And so here I was. I was just so anxious about it, and I just gave it up to Yah, and I said, correct him. Do you know? On the following Monday, this one guy said, oh yeah, one of our drivers is a tall guy with blah, 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 describing him, and said his entire body was covered with mosquito bites and sandfly bites. Not an inch of his body was left without a bite over the weekend when he went for his relaxation holiday. And I was like, I didn't mean to do that. I felt bad for him. I was like, Lord, I just meant check him, correct him, whisper in his ear or something, just show him something. How when he corrects us little by little. And that scripture came to me. But when he corrects our enemies, he corrects them 1,000 times harder. So when we were talking about Nia Wilson, LaDawn Jones, Yah sees and hears everything, and I want you to listen to this story as I read through the scripture, because it is so important to know this, and that we fast and pray and cry out for these women and their situation, because Yah is our strong deliverer, and he is faithful. And this story will give you an idea. And I was really encouraged. I was listening to Black Education Television and listening to Deborah on there, and she was talking about how Anne Hathaway had spoken up about Nia Wilson's death. And Anne Hathaway she's probably an Edomite, Ashkenaz, and praise Yah for her for speaking up. Praise Yah, because women and men need to speak up against these things. And I know it's hard for everybody. I know people are fearful right now. And here I am up in Canada. I mean, I'm pretty safe up here. I'm not in the States where you guys are getting it really hard. And slavery for my ancestors ended in Jamaica probably 100 years earlier. So that's kind of why Jamaicans come to America and stuff, and they do a little better, because the curse kind of lifted off a little sooner. But I really felt the stain of it growing up here. But that's a sidebar. So I want to get into the story of the Levitical priest and the concubine, and it involves rape, murder, and dismemberment of a woman, so that you can see and know and understand how God, Yahweh, really feels about these things. So let's get into it. Judges chapter 19. And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Israel, that there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah. His concubine played the whore against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months. So it sounds like this Levite hadn't married a woman and had a concubine, and it says she played the whore against him and went away from him unto her father's. It says that she went whoring and left to her father's house, but I'm not sure if he saw her as abandoning him, the husband, to go to the father, or whether infidelity was committed and then she went to her father's house. I'm not sure of the order of things. And typically in the land, for infidelity, one is to be stoned to death, or to utter a curse upon oneself. And basically you'll die after you do that. So nevertheless, he wasn't following the law. Anyway, as the story goes, and her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her, and to bring her again, having his servant with him, and a couple of asses. And she brought him into her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. So it says, and her husband arose and went after her. So I'm not sure here if he was her husband, or like Sarah is never called the concubine. She's always called the wife of Abraham. So I'm guessing it's kind of a combination here. This woman made a poor choice in the man that she got together with. She was a concubine. I don't think they were married, because it's concubine, wife. It's like, which one is it? So it seems like there's kind of somebody trying to cover up the story, and the Levitical priests are the ones who record these stories, right? The priests and the prophets. So, and we don't get the name of this priest, which is kind of interesting. So it might be that he might have written the story, or someone associated or related to him. There's a certain authority that men have over us as women, okay? And we have to be very careful about who we accept into our lives, into our hearts as partners, because the curse is that, and your desire will be for your husband. And immediately, men, we all know, when we give our heart to a man, they get authority over us. I have met the most brilliant women in the world dating the stupidest, most foolish, horrible men, abusive men, because they've given their hearts to them, and every gift and ability they have is then in submission to this man. And same reason why women stay with abusive men. You have to be careful who you give your heart to. And because of the order and the authority that Yah has given. Okay? But Yah has also given us the power of prayer. Okay? Because the Lord said that the prayers of a husband will not be answered if, he's grieving his wife. So we do have a power in Yah. Yah is gracious. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him, and he abode with him 3 days. So they did eat and drink and lodge there. And it came to pass on the 4th day, when they arose early in the morning, that he rose up to depart. And the damsel's father said unto his son-in-law, Comfort thy heart with a morsel of bread, and afterward go ye your way. And they sat down and did eat and drink both of them together. For the damsel's father had said unto the man, Be content, I pray thee, and tarry all night, and let thine heart be merry. And when the man rose up to depart, his father-in-law urged him. Therefore he lodged there again. And he rose early in the morning of the 5th day to depart. And the damsel's father said, Comfort thine heart, I pray thee. And they tarried until afternoon, and they did eat both of them. And when the man rose to depart, he and his concubine, and his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, Behold, now the day draweth towards evening. I pray thee, tarry all night. Behold, the day groweth to an end. Lodge he, that thine heart may be merry. And tomorrow get ye early on your way, that thou mayest go home. But the man would not tarry that night. He rose up and departed. So my sense is that the father-in-law was protective of his daughter here. He was kind of kind. He was very kind and generous, and he didn't seem to trust this man. And, you can see that the father of the concubine throughout this story is trying to have the Levitical priest stay so that maybe he can smooth the way to work things out, because he didn't trust him. He didn't trust what could happen to his daughter in the hands and care of this man because of jealousy, rage, or even what the law said, okay? But nonetheless, his father was fearful of this murderous spirit and was trying to see what he could do. But the man would not tarry that night. He rose up and departed, and came over against Ibis, which is Jerusalem, and there were with him 2 asses saddled. His concubine also was with him. And they went by Ibis, which is Jerusalem. The day was far spent. And the servant said unto his master, Come, I pray thee, and let us turn into this city of the Jebusites, and lodge in it. So his servant was with him also. And his master said unto him, We will not turn aside thither into the city of the stranger, that is not of the children of Israel. We will pass over to Gibeah. So now they are looking for a place to stay. And so he's saying to his servant, so now his servant is with him and his concubine is with him, and they have 2 asses. And he saith unto his servant, Come, and let us draw near to one of these places to lodge. And his master said unto him, We will not turn aside hither into the city of a stranger, that is not of the children of Israel. We will pass over to Gibeah. And he said unto his servant, Come, let us draw near to one of these places to lodge all night, Gibeah or Ramah. And they passed and went on their way, and the sun went down upon them, and they were by Gibeah, which belongeth to Benjamin. And they turned aside thither to go and to lodge in Gibeah. And when he went in, he sat down in the street of the city, for there was no man that took him into his house or lodging. Now the tradition of Israel is, when strangers are in your city, to take them in to stay and to provide for them, because you're all one family. So they're in this town looking, waiting for someone to take them in. And behold, there came an old man from his work out of the field at even, which was also of Mount Ephraim, and he sojourned in Gibeah. So this man was also of Ephraim, and he was living in Gibeah out of his land. But the men of the place were Benjamites. So this guy was an Ephraimite, this old man, and they were in a town of the Benjamites. And when he had lifted up his eyes, he saw a wayfaring man in the street of the city. And the old man said, Whither goest thou? And whence comest thou? And he said unto him, We are passing from Bethlehem, Judah, toward the side of Mount Ephraim, from thence I am. And I went to Bethlehem, Judah, but now I am going to the house of the Lord, and there is no man that receiveth me to this house. Yet There is both straw and provender for our asses, and there is bread and wine also for me, and for thy handmaid, and for the young man which is thy servant. There is no want of anything. So he had all the provisions he needed. He wasn't asking for anything, just shelter. And the old man said, Peace be with thee. However, let all thy wants lie upon me, only lodge not in the street. So he brought him into his house and gave provender unto the asses, and they washed their feet and did eat and drink. Now, as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about, and beat at the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him. And the man, the master of the house, went unto them, and said unto them, Nay, my brethren, nay, I pray you, do not so wickedly. Seeing this man is come into mine house, do not this folly. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble ye them, and do with them what that seemeth good to you. But unto this man do not so vile a thing. So now this is where I have to pause. This is a Levitical priest. And this is often a mistake that many people make with the Bible, women and men, is that if something's happening in the Bible, Yah is permitting it, even though his law says the contrary. So polygamy, rape and murder of women, trafficking of women, visiting prostitutes, is all going on in the Bible. And Yah is showing that to show us his grace and also to show us our error, okay, as Israelites and all people. So, but this Levitical priest and the old man with him, to me, are an example, again, of how people look at something in the Bible and think that that's the way to go. So I believe this Levitical priest obviously read about Lot and his daughters and the angels and saw that Lot was willing to throw out his daughters to get raped and molested by these sodomites in order to protect these angels. So this old man and the Levitical priest and the servant were ready to toss out the women. Even the old man was willing to toss out his daughter to protect his own purity and the purity of these other men. So not to protect the women. And that's not how Yah likes things. You know, when you look at the story of Dinah in Genesis, I think Genesis 34, where all the 12 brothers, heads of the 12 tribes, defend Dinah against, I can't remember, it's, Dinah is raped by Hamor the Hivite, and her brothers kill all the men of these Hivites. That's how you're supposed to deal with this kind of thing in Israel. You know, I have to add that this servant was with this Levitical priest, and yet he cast out the woman to have her raped and murdered before he would even give up his servant. So he put an old man who's dying, a young man who's a servant, ahead of this woman. It's life. Okay? These three men, how they conducted themselves, the servant, the Levite, and the old man, cowards. So I kind of am calling this message, cowards in the field. There's power that we also have as women. Like I said, this woman could have chosen a better man, chosen not to just be a concubine, but maybe a wife instead. Might have been a little wiser. And in the case of Dinah, she went off to hang out with the women in the land, the Hivites, the girls in the land, spend time with them. Because obviously she was the only girl in a family. But, when you're not where you're supposed to be, you kind of get into trouble, right? And I'm not saying that women, it's their fault when someone rapes them when they're in the wrong place. But, we have to be wise as women. It's our defense. And wisdom is a woman, okay? Throughout the Bible, wisdom is described as a woman, and there's a reason. Because Yah wants us to be wise and to identify with wisdom, okay? So there are things we can do to protect ourselves. Now you can see Nia Wilson was flashing a lot of these gang signs and satanic hand signs and sticking out her tongue and doing all that kind of satanic stuff. So in that sense, she was in the wrong kind of place spiritually. But nonetheless, what was done to her was, again, these crazy Gentiles, these people coming against our people. But at the same time, we have to ask, if not, is not this the discipline of Yah on the children of Israel, saying, stay away from this stuff. You've got to choose this day whom you will serve. So let me continue on. Let me repeat this. Behold, here is my daughter, a maiden, and his concubine. Them I will bring out now, and humble ye then, and do what seemeth good unto you. But unto this man do not so vile a thing. But the men would not hearken unto them. So the man took his concubine, and brought her forth unto them, and they knew her, and abused her all night long, until the morning. And when the day began to spring, they let her go. And then came the woman in the dawning of the day, and fell down at the door of the man's house, where her lord was, till it was light. Now you get the sense that this woman may have abandoned this Levitical priest concubine relationship, because the priest was an insensitive man, clearly, by his behavior here. Cowardly, insensitive, because how does he respond? And her lord rose up in the morning, and opened the doors of the house, and went out to go his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was fallen down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. And he said unto her, Let us keep going. But none answered. And he said unto her, Up, and let us be going. But none answered. Then the man took her up upon an ass, and the man rose up and gat him to his place. And when he was come into his house, he took a knife, and laid hold on his concubine, and divided her together with her bones into 12 pieces, and sent her into all the coasts of Israel. Now, I bet you are curious to see what is going to happen here. Because I can tell you, man, when I first read this story, I just knew Yah was faithful. I read this story knowing Yah was faithful. And he is a just God. He is just Yahweh. Judges chapter 20. Then all the children of Israel went out, and the congregation was gathered together as one man from Dan even to Beersheba, with the land of Gilead, unto the Lord in Mizpah. And it was so, that all that saw it said, There was no such deed done, nor seen from the day that the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt unto this day. Consider of it, take advice, and speak your minds. You're going to see how Yahweh feels, or what he thinks about the abuse or rape of his daughters. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living Yah. And this is what I mean. When these people are coming against the women of Israel, these Gentiles, and then you see fires in Greece, you see fires in Brazil. All of these European Gentiles are coming up out of Brazil. Their houses being burned. Even here in Canada, up in Fort McMurray in the United States, where there are these flash fires upon people's homes, and the trees around them are not even burned up. And the suicide plague amongst white people, and the opioid epidemic, and you see the volcanoes in Yosemite and Hawaii going off. Yahweh said that of the Gentiles, when you look at the parable of the 70 shepherds, he says of the Gentiles, you thought that I was altogether like you. He is not. He does not agree with this. And man, if he just did that for me over being late because I was anxious, what's he going to do? Because a lot of men think that bullying or sexually mistreating women or beating them up or killing or dismembering them is acceptable behavior. It's manly behavior, but it's not. And praise Yah, there are so many good brothers out there who do not think this way. I think there's a good balance of them out there who don't think this way. So let's see what happens. Then all the children of Israel went out, and the congregation was gathered together as one man from Dan even to Beersheba, with the land of Gilead unto the Lord in Mizpah. And the chief of all the people and the tribes of Israel presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 footmen that drew sword. Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel were gone up to Mizpah. Then said the children of Israel, Tell us, how was this wickedness? And the Levite, the husband of the woman that was slain, answered and said, I came into Gibeah, and that belongeth to Benjamin, I and my concubine to lodge. And the men of Gibeah rose against me and beset the house round about upon me by night, and thought to have slain me, and my concubine they have forced that she is dead. So clearly he doesn't tell the truth. He's lying. He's like, oh, they surrounded me. And then they took my concubine and forced her, and now she's dead. They didn't say, I threw her out of my door to protect myself like a coward. No, he lies. And obviously the other guy said nothing, so that's the same thing. And the men of Gibeah rose against me and beset the house round about me upon me by night, and thought to have slain me, and my concubine they have forced that she is dead. And I took my concubine and cut her in pieces, and set her throughout all the country into the inheritance of Israel, for they have committed lewdness and folly in Israel. Behold, ye are all children of Israel, give here your advice and counsel. And all the people arose as one man, saying, We will not any of us go to his tent, neither will we any of us turn into his house. But now this shall be the thing which we shall do to Gibeah. We will go up by lot against it, and we will take 10 men of 100 throughout all the tribes of Israel, and 100 of 1,000, and 1,000 out of 10,000, to fetch victual for the people, that they may do when they come to Gibeah of Benjamin, according to all the folly that they have wrought in Israel. So all the men of Israel were gathered against the city, knit together as one man. And the tribes of Israel sent men throughout all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, What wickedness is this that is done among you? Now therefore deliver us the men of the children of Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death and put away evil from Israel. But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities of Gibeah to go out to battle against the children of Israel. And the children of Benjamin were numbered at that time out of the cities 26,000 men that drew the sword, besides the inhabitants of Gibeah, which were numbered 700 chosen men. So here we are. Benjamin has 26,000 men, and Gibeah has 700 chosen men. And among all these people in Gibeah, there were 700 chosen men left-handed. Everyone could sling stones at a hairbreadth and not miss. So left-handed slingshotters. And the men of Israel beside Benjamin were numbered 400,000 men that drew the sword, and these were men of war. And the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of God and asked counsel of God and said, Which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. You know, I find it curious in this story that Judah goes up and fights against Benjamin, and because Judah is where the seed of Yeshua will come from. So it's interesting. Now, one of the main reasons why Judah is chosen as well is because Judah and Benjamin are the southern kingdom with the Levites. Okay? So, and eventually the kingdom is split. So this is a way for God to reconcile any divisions before they actually happen in David's time. And the children of Israel rose up early in the morning and encamped against Gibeah. And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin. And the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against them at Gibeah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 22,000 men. 22,000 warriors dead. One woman raped, murdered, dismembered. And the people, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves and set their battle again in array in the place where they put themselves in array the first day. And the children of Israel went up and wept before the Lord until evening and asked the counsel of the Lord, saying, "Shall I go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother?" And the Lord said, "Go up against him." And the children of Israel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel again 18,000 men. All these drew the sword. Now, 18,000 men dead plus 22,000 men dead is 40,000 men dead. One woman raped, murdered, dismembered. And so now, verse 26. Then all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came unto the house of God and wept and sat there before the Lord and fasted that day until evening. Now notice they're fasting. Just want you to notice. And offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And the children of Israel inquired of the Lord, for the ark of the covenant of God was there in those days. And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying, "Shall I yet again go out to battle against the children of Benjamin, my brother? Or shall I cease?" And the Lord said, "Go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into your hand." So with Judah always being the leader, you see that Judah is punished the most because Judah is the leader. Out of Judah is the Savior called. So he had to be cut down and pruned and punished, his warriors. Discipline of the Lord. You see, he let 40,000 men die. Then he said, "Okay, now I'll deliver you." So you see, there's some kind of complicity and responsibility amongst the men of Israel here. Verse 29. And Israel set lairs in wait round about Gibeah. And the children of Israel went up against the children of Benjamin on the third day, and put themselves in array against Gibeah as at other times. And the children of Benjamin went out against the people, and were drawn away from the city, and they began to smite of the people and kill as at other times in the highways, of which one goeth to the house of God, and the other to Gibeah in the field, about 30 men of Israel. And the children of Benjamin said, "They are smitten down before us as the first." But the children of Israel said, "Let us flee and draw them from the city unto the highways." And the men of Israel rose up out of their place and put themselves in array at Baal-tamar. And the liers in wait of Israel came forth out of their places, even out of the meadows of Gibeah. Notice that it says they array at Baal-tamar. Baal is the name for Satan, but it also means possessor of or husband to. And Tamar is a palm tree. It's also the name of the daughter of David, who was raped, the sister of Absalom, who was raped, and nothing was done about it. Her name was Tamar. Anyway, verse 34. And there came against Gibeah 10,000 chosen men out of all Israel, and the battle was sore.
But they knew not that the evil was near to them. And the Lord smote Benjamin before Israel, and the children of Israel destroyed of the Benjamites that day 25,100 men. All of these drew the sword.
25,000 Benjamites slain, plus 100, plus 40 men. That equals 65,000 men slain for one daughter of Israel who is raped, murdered, and dismembered. This is how Yah feels about this. But we go on.
Okay, but you know what? Do the men listen? Let's find out. So the children of Benjamin saw they were smitten. For the men of Israel gave place to the Benjamites, because they trusted unto the liers in wait, which they had set beside Gibeah. And the liers in wait hasted and rushed upon Gibeah, and the liers in wait drew themselves along and smote all the city with the edge of the sword. Now there was an appointed sign between the men of Israel and the liers in wait, that they should make a great flame with smoke rise up out of the city. And when the men of Israel retired into the battle, Benjamin began to smite and kill of the men of Israel about 30 persons. For they said, surely they are smitten down before us, as is in the first battle.
It's interesting because the battle array that these guys choose is the same battle array they chose against Ai. Okay, now in the battle against Ai, when the Israelites were entering the promised land, they were overconfident. They went into Ai, and there was one man who had sinned. And it caused them to lose, to be defeated. And so you see how this Israelite, this Levitical priest, he had sinned. And these men knew so little about the law, they had to fast and pray and ask Yah for the victory. But Yah didn't say, hey man, this dude has sinned. But had they gone to look at the word? Because they had to use the same strategy. They had to set the city on fire, and they had to send people around the perimeter to lie in wait, and then bring the enemy out, fight them face to face, send the city up into smoke, and then have the side crew lying in wait come against them when they turned back. Okay, it's the same strategy. And the same thing had happened. One man had sinned. Okay? And had they gone back and looked at that, because they looked back at that for the battle strategy, they would have seen that there was sin in their midst, within their own family, the family of Israel outside of Benjamin.
But when the flame began to rise out of the city with a pillar of smoke, the Benjamites looked behind them, and behold, the flame of the city ascended up to heaven. And when the men of Israel turned again, the men of Benjamin were amazed, for they saw that evil was come upon them. Therefore they turned their backs before the men of Israel unto the way of the wilderness. But the battle overtook them, and them which came out of the cities they destroyed in the midst of them. Thus they enclosed the Benjamites round about, and chased them, and trod them down with ease over and against Gibeah toward the sun rising. And there fell of Benjamin about 18,000 men. All of these were men of valor. Okay, and they turned and fled toward the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon, and they gleaned of them in the highways 5,000 men, and pursued hard after them unto Gibeah, and slew 2,000 men of them. So it looks like
we add another 18,000 Benjamite men, plus 2,000 escaping Benjamites, and now the death count is 85,000 men dead because of the murder, rape, and dismemberment of one Israelite woman. This is how God feels about it. This is how he feels about us as women. He is our strong defender. That's why I'm married to a man. All kinds of men want to date me. I'm like, no. I love my husband. No man can measure up to this God.
But 600 men turned and fled to the wilderness unto the rock of Rimmon, and abode in the rock of Rimmon 4 months. And the men of Israel turned again upon the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword, as well as the men of every city, as the beast and all that came to hand. Also they set on fire all the cities that they came to. So they destroyed man, woman, child, beast. So even more were destroyed. For one woman, okay, who was raped, abused, and dismembered. Okay, so this is how Yahweh feels about this. Now let's see how these people respond. Judges chapter 21. Now the men of Israel had sworn in Mizpah, saying, There shall not any of us give his daughter unto a Benjamite to wife. And the people came to the house of God, and abode there till even before God, and lifted up their voices, and wept sore, and said, O Lord God of Israel, why is this come to pass in Israel, that there should be today one tribe lacking in Israel? And it came to pass on the morrow that the people rose early, and built an altar, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. And the children of Israel said, Who is there among all the tribes of Israel that came not up with the congregation unto the Lord? For they had made a great oath concerning him that came not up to the Lord to Mizpah, saying, He surely be put to death. So in other words, they're saying whoever didn't come to defend the honor of this woman in the nation, we're putting them to death. So there's like, is there anybody in the congregation of the Lord that didn't come up to this battle at Mizpah? And the children of Israel repented them for Benjamin their brother, and said, There is one tribe cut off from Israel this day. How shall we do for the wives of them that remain, seeing we have sworn by the Lord that we will not give them of our daughters to wives? And they said, What one is there of the tribes of Israel that came not up to Mizpah to the Lord? And behold, there came none to the camp from Jabesh Gilead to the assembly. So it sounds like Jabesh Gilead did not come to defend this woman's honor. For the people were numbered, and behold, there were none of the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead there. They're like, okay. And their congregation sent thither 12,000 men of the valiantest, and commanded them, saying, Go and smite the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead with the edge of the sword, with the women and the children. And this is the thing ye shall do. Ye shall utterly destroy every male and every woman that hath lain by man. And they found among the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead 400 young virgins that had known no man by lying with any male. And they brought them unto the camp of Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. So they killed all of Jabesh Gilead except for the virgin females. For one woman who was raped, brutalized, dismembered. Okay, so I think at this point we might be getting into the over 100,000s. Okay, because these men did not count women and children. They only counted the men. Okay, so it's probably getting up pretty high here. Verse 13. And the whole congregation sent some to speak to the children of Benjamin that were in the rock Rimmon, and to call peaceably unto them. And Benjamin came again at that time, and they gave them wives, which they had saved alive of the women of Jabesh Gilead. And yet so they sufficed them not, so there wasn't enough women for them. Verse 15, chapter 21. And the people repented them for Benjamin, because that the Lord had made a breach in the tribes of Israel. Then the elders of the congregation said, How shall we do for the wives, for them that remain, seeing the women are destroyed out of Benjamin? So it's funny because they're saying the Lord had made a breach in the tribes of Israel here, and I don't agree. These people swore not to give their daughters to them. The Lord didn't say, swear not to give your daughters to them. Although who would want to, right? And Benjamin caused this breach, not the Lord. Okay? But this is how people think. Oh, the Lord did this. No, Benjamin did this. And the Lord allowed you to defend this woman's honor. But anyway, verse 17, and they said, there must be an inheritance for them that be escaped of Benjamin, that a tribe be not destroyed out of Israel. Howbeit we may not give them wives of our daughters. For the children of Israel have sworn, saying, cursed be he that giveth a wife to Benjamin. See, they made an oath, a curse, a swear. Yeah, I never told them to do that. But anyway, then they said, behold, there is a feast of the Lord in Shiloh yearly in a place which is on the north side of Bethel, on the east side of the highway that goeth up from Bethel to Shechem, and on the south of Lebanon. Therefore they commanded the children of Benjamin, saying, go and lie in wait in the vineyards, and see, and behold, if the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance in dances, and come out of the vineyards, and catch ye every man his wife of the daughters of Shiloh, and go to the land of Benjamin. And it shall be, when the fathers of their brethren come out to us to complain, that we will say unto them, be favorable unto them for our sakes, because we reserve not to each man his wife in the war. For ye did not give unto them at this time that ye should be guilty. So, because they were foolishly swore this oath for everybody, now they're going to force these guys to grab, these rapists, to grab some more women. And they're saying, oh, and you won't be guilty because, we will force these guys to force themselves upon your daughters, and you would not have given them to them. And the children of Benjamin did so, and took them wives according to their number of them that danced, whom they caught. And they went out and returned unto their inheritance, and repaired the cities, and dwelt in them. And the children of Israel departed thence at that time, every man to his tribe and to his family, and went out from thence, every man to his inheritance. In those days there was no king in Israel. Every man did that which was right in his own eyes. So there's the key verse. Did the Lord tell them to do any of this mess at the end here? The re-raping, they make an oath, swear an oath not to give your daughters to them. No. And what do? Now several women are raped. Like now, who knows how many were, probably in the hundreds, because there were 600 Benjamites left, right? Women are snatched and grabbed and taken off. And it's almost like this in this story, Yahweh is saying, and every man did that which was right in his own eyes. In other words, I didn't sign off on this. But you see, he did sign off on the death of over 100,000 men. He kept saying, go on out to them. And it's almost as though he's saying, this is your fault, because you're not policing your brothers. When your brothers rape a woman or mistreat a woman, you're not policing them. There's no king in Israel, and you're all doing what's right in your own eyes. So men rape and pillage and go out of control because you're not holding one another accountable for the protection of the women. And that's really what I think this story is about. So now those of you who are Gentile, grafted in Christians, or Hebrew Ephraimites, as you like to call yourselves, if you don't stand up for the women of Israel, you are complicit in this. And I include the men of Judah, the Hebrew Israelites in this. You're all included. Over 100,000 men were killed over this one woman's rape, murder, and dismemberment. Now, given these attacks on these sisters, and given the discipline of the Lord on his own children, and given that he punishes the enemies of Israel 1,000 times more, what do you think he's going to do?
Because I know he protects and defends and looks after me, man. He really does. I gotta tell you. Let me tell you something. Yahweh is not altogether like these Gentiles. He, in the parable of the 70 shepherds, he neither rebuked nor corrected them, but has taken account of their works. And he assigned 70 of their shepherds over the children of Israel. And he counted a certain number to the slaughter. But he said and says, you've gone too far. And I will begin to visit the earth again. What do you think he's going to do? You know, we're supposed to cry out to Yah at this time. Cry out for these women. Cry out, fast, pray, and ask Yah, our strong defender, to show himself strong. We are to say our enemies are too strong for us, and they are. We are not to rise up. We are to rely on Yah to be our strong defender and give him the glory. Yah, I just pray in the name of Yeshua that you would defend your daughters. Defend them from those who think that you are altogether like them. Because according to Ezekiel, what is past is past. What is to be has been. And what is past, Yah requires. I bless you, saints, and I bless all the hearers of this, those who want to defend us and love Yeshua and us, the children of Israel. I bless you. You are our brothers and sisters, even if you're an Edomite, an Ashkenazi, a Gentile. Whoever does what is right in the eyes of Yah and seeks him with all their heart and accepts him as his Savior is saved. And you people know what is wrong. Cry out, because it's going down. And it's so awful. God bless. Shalom.